everyone, I'm Anna Zielinski and welcome back to the Producer's Desk. So let's talk budgeting. Yes, budgeting. Most filmmakers, this is not the sexiest topic. This is not the most fun, but it is necessary, right? You cannot do your film without money, and you cannot get money without a budget. So you need to know. But what's great is that I'm going to make it as easy as possible here, especially in this video, because we're just doing the basics and just covering the basics here. So what is a budget? All right. A film budget is a financial plan that outlines the costs of your production. It includes everything from your development to your pre-production to your production to post-production and adding in a contingency. And what we're going to talk about today is the top sheet. We're just going to work on building the top sheet because this is just an easier way to start understanding the budgeting process without getting into that overwhelming detail. Because film budgets can be upwards of 50 to 100 pages. It's a lot, and it's something that you will do in the next step here. This is just beginning. This is preliminary. This is you trying to go get money for your movie, and this is what I'm excited about, why we're doing this today. Why does this matter, Anna? Why we're going to build this top sheet? Because with this top sheet, you are going to be able to show your investors that you're serious about managing their money. You know how you're going to do it. So when we're done here, you're going to be able to take that top sheet, put it with your pitch deck. Say that about 3 times. Put it with your pitch deck and pitch your film. So let's dive into what is a top sheet, what it looks like, and what the sections are. Alrighty, here we are. Our Untitled Action Thriller Budget Top Sheet. Yes, we're going to actually do an example here after I go over this. So this is going to be really great. You're going to get to see how we build this so that you can do it too. So I'm excited for that. In the meantime, let's just do a quick review of the sections here. So we have what we call above the line, which is basically costs for your creative, which includes story, producers, director, cast, and we'll go into more detail here in a minute. Then below the line production, just like it sounds, this is your crew, this is your shooting crew, this is equipment, everything and anything, all the labor that it takes to pull off your production below the line. And we have about 20 accounts here that we'll be dealing with. Then we've got below the line post, 7 accounts here. This is everything it takes to polish your movie, put it together, and make it look fabulous for delivery. That's your editor, your music, color, sound, all this loveliness. This is one of my favorite categories. And then we have below the line other. And this is just other expenses that don't necessarily fit into above, but extremely necessary, from insurance to general expenses, publicity, meaning only just your gallery photos, your behind the scene, everything that you'll need for the marketing. And then we finish off with legal and accounting here. And last but not least is our contingency line. And this is your break in case of emergency line. You didn't quite get things right in your lines or something happens, you've got a pad. All right, so that, my friends, is the rough breakdown of the top sheet. So now let's just dig a little bit deeper into each category, and I'm just going to go over some of these, and then we're actually going to do a sampling here. So I'm excited for that. You excited? I'm excited. Let's do this. Okay, come on. All right, so back to our Untitled Action Thriller Budget Top Sheet. Say that about 3 times. See? My joke's getting lame, isn't it? You're like, Anna, no more. Okay, I won't. All right, so digging in more to the above the line, the percentages. Okay, so pay attention to this here. Look here. For above the line, you should be between 25 and 35% of your total spend. I have seen this upwards of 50, and then that makes me really nervous because now if you do that, you're starting to take away from these other sections. But let's talk a little bit about here. So you've got stories, story and rights. This is your writer. There'll be basic percentages here that we're going to put in our example. Some of you may be writer, producer, and director, And those percentages can be influenced by that. Like, you've got one person, are you going to take the standard percentages, or are you going to kind of work with things? Because remember, we're all still in low budget, and you're not making a fortune making independent movies as a producer. This is your training ground to move you up the food chain. Remember that. And of course, you have your director line here and your cast. Cast is often the largest above the line cost, right? It's you want to attract big names. You want to try to get some sort of marquee name, and it doesn't have to be like an A-lister, of course, because these folks are very expensive, but it's someone that might have been a bigger movie star like back in the day, like Jean-Claude Van Damme. How about someone like that? You have an action movie, you pay him for one day, you see if you can get him for like, I don't know, 50,000, 75,000. Who doesn't want to take a brown bag special for 75,000? Now, I'm not saying we're doing under the table deals. I don't mean it by that, but I just mean it's a little money in the big scheme of things, but not little to us. So to be able to make offers like that, that's very possible. And someone like that could sell an action movie, right? Especially overseas. Okay, so, and in this line too, this line's another negotiable line because it's you, the producers. You may defer payment until you sell the movie. So there's a lot of things that, it's a lot of moving parts here. You know, these percentages that we're going to do are not static. They definitely change. All right, so to below the line production, again, this is all your crew and equipment. This should live at about 35 to 50% and not more than that. So again, we're going to fill this in and show you, you know, most of these lines have an average percentage. You know, lines that are variable, like location expenses, these things can change. You can get real efficient with your locations. Maybe you get something for free. So again, when you start vetting these lines, you'll see that maybe a percentage you put in there is a little too high, and you might have gotten some really great deals for these things, which again, this line is usually a higher line. And same thing with equipment, with your camera or your lighting. These tend to be more, but if you end up having a friend who has owner operated equipment, they have their own G&E truck. They'll give you a rate on their labor and the truck, and usually comes out cheaper. Same with cameras. If you know your DP owns his or her cameras, so you're always looking for those deals, and this is where you can actually save money on some of these lines. All right, below the line post, we've got 7 accounts here. This should live at 15 to 25%. And this is where I'm saying that this line usually gets, or this category usually gets undervalued because people are putting so much up here and then below the line that they're like, boop, they got 10% down here. And you're like, you have to finish your movie. You need to polish it. You need the sound and color and music. And a lot of times I'll see editorial get undervalued a lot. And guys, a movie can be made or broken by a good or a bad editor. It is, I've seen it a million times. I've had movies saved. I've had terribly directed movies, and they cut the movie exactly like the script. That was the story I got when I was watching, this was this year. I got the movie and I was like, holy moly, it's a comedy, and it ran 2 hours long. And I was like, what is this? So I was able to find an editor who had experience with romantic type comedies, and I was like, please, let's cut this down. Let's give it some rhythm. Let's make this into the movie it was intended to be. And we went from 2 hours, I believe, to 1 hour and 28 minutes. We couldn't even get it to 1:30. The movie was night and day. So please keep that in mind. Do not under budget your post line. All right, below the line other can live at 5 or 10%. Insurance, and y'all, it is expensive. For a film these days, just a normal walkie-talkie film, it costs me, even at $1 million, it costs me upwards now of like $40,000 to $50,000 to insure the production. No joke. So that is a pretty solid estimate. Sometimes you can get short-term insurance. Some of that might be better, but insurance is just expensive, okay? And it's you must have. Okay, so that will be that. Also, E&O, errors and omissions insurance, will fall into this category. Won't go into that detail, but I will be doing an episode about delivery and distribution, so you'll know more about that. General expenses, publicity, essential to get your behind the scenes photographs, gallery photos. I can't tell you how many times we've gotten in, because our company is also a distribution company, and we're like, where are your photographs? Where's your behind the scenes? They're like, what? Who? And now we're doing screen grabs from the film. I mean, think about the posters. Think about all the social media posts. Think about all the promos. We need that stuff. And it doesn't really cost that much to get a really good photographer on set during this time to make sure you check this box. Don't forget that. All right, and legal and accounting is just what it sounds like. So once you wrap your movie, you're done with the major accounting. You're going to have a little bit of accounting that's left when you're doing post, all the way until you wrap this baby up, tie it up with a bow, and send it out. You'll have to have someone manage the books. And then legal is just as it sounds. All the contracts, some of the actor contracts you do, if you're doing a name contract, you don't have to do bigger types of contracts. You need an entertainment lawyer to do this, or a really good business affairs guy. All right. And then contingency, as I mentioned, is contingency, which usually is going to be about 10%. 10% is standard, but I've toggled that percentage. All right, so that is the deep dive into each section. Are you ready to do our example? Let's do it. I've put some of the numbers in already on this, but we're going to do together the above the line. All right, so let's go back to our top sheet. Okay, so now we're going to do a practical example. We're going to plug some numbers into our top sheet, and let's play out the scenario. So remember our Untitled Action Thriller starring Jean-Claude Van Damme. He's not really in this. We're just making it up, right? And I actually did a breakdown of this script in a previous episode called Script Breakdown. And so basically, in a nutshell, for those of you who haven't seen that episode, but you should go see that episode, I just took the big ticket items. And what we pulled from that was that it was minimal cast. We had several locations, which we minimized to only 3. We had one big car chase, and we had a couple of stunts. And we're going to minimize the stunt. And in a nutshell, it's a thriller about a psychologist family who gets... the psychologist's family gets taken hostage. Someone calls in, and they're letting her know that they kidnapped the family, and she has to do A, B, and C, or the family dies. All right. So what's great about this script is that we only have $1 million, and that's what we were doing the breakdown, understanding that we had $1 million. So that's our number here. It's $1 million, and we're going to back into that budget, into this top sheet, using this premise. But like I said, what was great about that is that it's self-contained, because most of the action takes place, or most of the script takes place in a radio station, like almost 2/3 of the script. So how great is that, right? We have one location, 2/3 shooting that, and the other third is around, and so forth. So I feel really good that we can do it for $1 million. But we're pitching to the investor, right? You're pitching. We're putting this top sheet together to put into our pitch deck, and we need to show them how we are going to spend that $1 million. So let's go to our top sheet here. And okay, start plugging some numbers and stay within our parameters. So story and rights, we're going to start here, and this is really easy. You're just going to go to that field, and average is 2%. Okay, trust me, it is. Producers, I've seen this line upwards of 10%. So we're going to put that in, but I want to show you how I always feel like that's a little too much for these budgets, especially $1 million. It's $100,000 already going out. Directors 3 to 5, so we're going to put it a little bit lower at 3, because that's how I like to start, y'all. Cast, we're going to start it at 20%. Travel, we're not traveling anyone anywhere. We're just doing the movie here in LA. And fringes, usually between 2 to 3%, 1 to 2%. So I'm going to put this at 2%. Okay, so look at that. So super easy, guys. All you're doing is plugging into the percentage line here on H, column H. And look where we're at, 37%. Ooh, we're already over. So this is a perfect example of how you can play with these numbers. And, you know, are you a writer, producer, director on this? Do you have several producers that are planning on working with you on this? When you're talking about $1 million budget, you need to consider amending some of these things. But for the sake of our example, we're not going to touch this right now. We're going to go in and we're going to start plugging the rest of the numbers here. Okie dokie. So production staff, always important. I like to stick them at 3%. Extra talent, 1%. There wasn't a lot in this movie, so I already knew that there wasn't big crowd scenes, so this should cover it. Okay, so anything for set design, set construction here, we're going to plug all these at 2% for now. That's a good rule of thumb. Set construction, we're going to put at 1 because we know we have a small build, but we may have to toggle this one. Actually, with the radio station, so that example I gave you, in my head, I was like, okay, we're going to find this amazing building and maybe we find an old radio station in town. But if not, let's find something that looks cool and then we just build it out on the inside. Stuff at Home Depot costs a lot. We're going to put 2%. Let's leave it there. Yeah. All right. Do we have any special effects in this one? We did not. So we're going to skip that. We're going to keep, so this is real easy plug. So most of these guys, set dressing, art, props, 2020. You know, set dressing for me, like a lot of times I try to find locations that have what we need. So you use the term practical. So if we're going to shoot in a house, so there is a house in this script where it's just a middle income house. So we could find a place. You can find many houses, scout them, and you're looking, you're like, I like the decor of this. I like a lot of it. You swap out things like art, just things that are license issues. So because of that, I'm gonna knock this down to 1%. I could get it done for 10,000. I could do it. All right, property, we're gonna leave it 20 because this is how we plug and then we go back and play. Hey, we plug, then we play. All right, picture vehicles, we had 3, 1%. Now remember, we're using $1 million here, so you'll see this is all deriving from $1 million spend. You'll see how this all plays out. Okay. Where we're at. Lighting, I'm going to keep this at 2%. Camera, everybody wants a fancy camera and lenses. So look at this. We're going to plug that at 5%. Yeah? I feel good about that. Wardrobe, same with all the other lines. See, so this is not hard. You're going to start off 2%. You know, that's going to be rentals. That's also going to be wardrobe. But, you know, you can have actors bring clothes. So this is good. That might be a little higher. We'll come back to that. We're going to see how it all works out. Makeup, let's put it at 2. Sound, same thing, 2. Transpo, always a little more. You're going to need trailers, trucks, vans, all that good stuff. I like to put that at 3. Location expenses, I put that at 5. I like to start a little higher and then we can knock it down. Watch. We're not going to do below the line travel. We're not going to have a second unit. And keep in mind, second unit, if you had a lot of stunts, you had a lot of action, certain sequences where a second unit could go out and grab, you know, it's not necessarily B-roll, but secondary footage. But, you know, under $1 million, like you still need to be able to, there's usually a director, it depends on the director and the second unit director relationship. I at this level, we never did second unit because I could never really break away the team to have that much crew. So at these lower budgets, usually don't have them. Stage and facility. If we had to do the build outside of, like, say, so the radio station, if you found the actual building and they let you build in it, great. But if they're like, no, you cannot build within this facility because it's a historical building, let's just say, then you'd probably get a stage. And I did this for several biblical films where I created, you know, a village downtown in a warehouse in downtown LA. It actually worked out pretty good. And then I just connect the exteriors with B-roll. So we might need to do that. So we're gonna add a little percentage there. Production fringes, same rule of thumb as up here. We're going to keep it at 2%. All right, editorial. I don't like to chintz on it. 5%. I'm putting it in there. Music, let's see, 1%. No, we're going to go 2. Music, getting a good composer is important, and you can find young and coming folks that might do something for you for $10,000. Someone with a little more experience and they really like your project, 20. I'm feeling we gotta go 2.5 on here, to be honest, because people gotta eat. So I'm gonna adjust this percentage here. So there's a little field here if you can adjust a percentage. See, look right there. Don't fret when you're playing with the Excel sheet. It's pretty simple. We're gonna do 2.5. That makes me feel better. Because also, if you wanted to license music, you would put it under this category. And sometimes some of those, what they call needle drops, can get a little pricey. May cost you a couple grand. A song you really like and you want to license that. We want to put it into this line here. So we're adding for that. Color. Let's plug these in at 3. See where we're at. And 3. Okay. Whew. You know, to get good color, you can find a lot of boutique post houses that will work with you and maybe even do combo deals for you where they do all-in packages. But color, that's right on the cusp for me. I feel comfortable at 3.5% on this one. And again, my little decimal didn't want to populate there. 3.5%, and I'm going to go 4.5 here. See, percentage, little decimal. All right, so that puts me at, what's the math there? 80,000. That's a nice number. That there's room to shift that around because remember, these are estimates. You see, what I'm doing is I'm giving you estimates based on not necessarily industry standards, but more like indie industry standards. Like these are the numbers I would plug to start, and then I go start vetting the lines. So it's just keep in mind with post, you are going to shop that around, have the conversations. You'll be so surprised at how people really will help you. Tell them your story. It's your first feature. You'll get a lot of support. There hasn't been a place I haven't gone to, even here in LA, where you find people that'll work with you on that number. So, like I said, we have the 80,000 here, which we'll probably massage and knock down just a little bit once we see how we come out on the total here. So, moving back to our grid here at titles, this is probably a little high for that, but we're going to put it at 0.5%. Visual effects, I know we had a car chase. I know we had the car chase and the fight. And in your movie, there's always cleanup. You have cords, you have things, you maybe have graphics that need to go up on, signage and so forth. A lot of that can be created in post. So let's put us at 1% on that. And for delivery, it's the same percentage here of 0.5%. I just copy and pasted it in. And look where we landed, 18%. So are we doing good? Are we doing good? We have 38 here. We're still a little high here, but let me just show you how the total's measuring up. So for insurance, we need to go 3%. Remember I told you, 5%. Because we need production insurance here. We need E&O. This is a good number. Trust me. Just plug it. You'll thank me later. General expenses. That's a little high. That's just a little high. 0.5%. We're just going to copy this into here because this one's acting a little funny. 0.5% there. I'd probably even go lower. Let's do, no, we're not going to spend $20,000 on a photographer. Heck no. We're going to do 0.5% as well here. Yeah. Just copy and paste these percentages if it gets a little funny because it does something funny with the rounding. Right. So totally can get a photographer, behind the scenes folks, gallery, for your cast, you want someone that's going to light people well, like on a white backdrop, lit beautifully, looks good, different positions, a must. So pay a little more. And then for here, for our legal, Ooh, no, we don't need that much. You can get good legal and post accounting. You can make your deals. Look at where we're at. 7%. Yo, we're doing great. All right, so contingency. Let's plug the 10. Let's see what's happening here. Okay, so this is great. I want you to see this to see. I just went through and I did the estimates based on what I know, what is standard, and look, we're over by 95,000. So that means we have to knock down some percentages somewhere, right? And all you'll do is you'll go in and you'll just manipulate these lines to, first of all, reverse engineer this to 1 million, right? Unless you think you can get 1,095,000, great. But I like to work within the parameters I've been given. So for starters, let's go up here and adjust this producer line right off the bat. Producers, again, we don't make any money doing this. It is about the experience. It is about just coming from the bottom and working your way to the top. So make the concessions here. I'm going to make it for you. I'm going to put this at 5%. All right. So look at that. We're at 45. All right. Director. Another one. You can get up and coming folks. Maybe it's you. You're like, all right, I've got some money from writing. I could take a little bit less on the directing. Okay, 20 and 20, 40 if you happen to be the guy doing this and the producer someone else, because you should have a good line producer. That's where this will come out of too. Let's look at what happens there. Oh, we're getting down. We need to knock off 4% somewhere. All right, story. If you're that guy and you just wrote the script and you're just new, 10,000 is about it. You know, you need to work out the deal. And again, if it's you and you're the writer director, can we do 1%? Can we knock it down? You're walking away with 30. All right, here. Tell you what. Let's do 1.5. Let's do 1.5. How's that? 15. 15 feel good for you? You got 20. You got 15, you got 35 going in your pocket, but someone's making a movie. You're making a movie, all right? Let's scroll back down. Oh, we need 3% somewhere. So this is where I think I can take. I know it already. So I would move this down to 4. Oh, heck, that's not 4. Keep your sound at 40, 75. I like that. So what I can do, I know. So again, you're just going through your head. This is very preliminary, so don't panic. You will vet these lines. This is all estimates. We're playing now to just get this down to 100%. I already know we put 5% here. Look, under locations, we can totally knock that down to 4 because I already know in the script we reduced the locations to 3. So for 40,000, feel like I can pull this off. So camera, I had it at 5%, but I know a guy. I got a guy named Brian. He's got 2 R's. He's got all the lenses, got all the fixed things. I know he'll give it to me for 30,000. So let's go back to our sheet here. And I've already adjusted it to 3% versus 5 because I know that. And there might be these things you already know. So this is great. And then the last change I made, okay, so let's check our thing. Oh, look at that. We have 5, we have a little more to spend here. So let's come back up. And I feel bad for you, Mr. Writer. And I feel like, okay, maybe I should make the concession and give you a little more dough there. Bada boom, bada bang. So I changed that to 2%. So instead of 15,000, you get 20. Okay, but do you see what I did? I'm just playing with the numbers. We're just massaging things in a way that makes sense. You can use this template and this example, which I'll keep in here for you. I'm a market template, and then you're going to have another tab in this, which is a completely clean template for you to play with, because that's going to be your assignment. I want you to actually do one of these and play with it. And if you haven't done Excel, it's not that hard. You see these here, these shift the decimal to and fro. So if it populates really weird, because sometimes it will, when you go 2.5, like look, I put 2.5 in here because I added that decimal point there, but sometimes it defaults to 3, so you just move it over. Okay, that's just an extra tidbit. I digress. Okay, but anyway, play with this. This is your assignment. It is such a great starting place because you can see how you can manipulate the numbers and make it all fit. And we reverse engineered this from the $1 million mark. So come back to my sheet with me here. Look, so in the big scheme of things, our above the line is 32%. Our below the line is almost 60%. Total is 91%, 10% contingency. So we retain the 10% contingency. Oh, I was messing with that number. The writer, you only get 2%. Quit trying to get money. All right. We're at our $1 million. We reversed engineer it. We got the numbers allocated in a very wise way. So if I printed out this top sheet, I added it to my pitch deck, this would be a very sound, logical pitch to an investor. The one thing, obviously, that you would do before you did this is you would vet some of the lines, some of the big lines out. You would work out your cast numbers. You would work out all your camera, your lighting, all your equipment. Just suss that out a little bit, your locations, and just get that warm fuzzy like, yeah, okay, I feel good. Post is an easy one to suss out. You can go to a post house and be like, hey, I'm doing a movie. This is the length. You give them all the bits and what you're looking for, and they'll give you an estimate. And they'll go, so what's my budget? They will ask you that. So you can come in, look, and for color here, we have 3.5% of the budget. I've got, and you never give them the full number, guys. Don't do it. You go, I got $30,000 for color. And then on our post, even though you have 35, and then what do we have for sound? We have $40,000. You go, I got 35. Always do that. Always just coming under, just so you can see what they're going to come in, because their estimates will always be higher too. And then you meet in the middle. Little negotiating tip. All right, guys. Well, I am just really thrilled to have done this with you guys. It is such a useful tool. I hope I explained it all. You're going to get this spreadsheet, play with it. That's your assignment. Put one together, get used to it. Save these percentages because these are pretty darn close. This is straight from my desk. I use these all the time. Again, there are still estimates because for you, as you go along and then you budget this out, some things will change. Whatever, you might do another rewrite on the script, something. These numbers are always changing, but at least you understand the premise now to basic budgeting and what a top sheet is. All right, leave your comments below, leave your questions below, do your homework, and tell me what you think. It's always a pleasure to do this with you. I get excited to share these great tools that I use every day to help your dreams come true, to help your films come to fruition. And please hit that like and subscribe button, of course. And as always, remember, together we create.